I think very few people should actually be entrepreneurs. Don't think that self-employment is just some shortcutted path to wealth. I think most of us are better off being a W-2 employee, working for the man.
A few habits that people have that keep them broke.
The first one is instant gratification. I have a smart spender framework in my book. 5 questions that could change your life if you answer them. If America answered those correctly, we would be $0 in debt.
In his 20s, George Kamel was $40,000 in debt and living paycheck to paycheck. A decade later, he's a debt-free millionaire, a #1 best-selling author, and a co-host of The Ramsey Show, who uses his platform to show others how discipline, belief, and a debt-free mindset can transform your entire financial future.
You can remove one financial practice or institution. Which one would you remove?
Anyone who's a part of it, they should be in jail.
That may shock a lot of people. All right, George, is being broke, is that circumstantial? In other words, a big factor because of how you grew up, where you grew up, or is it truly a mindset? Your thoughts?
I would say for most people listening, it's a mindset. Now, circumstances affect it. Your environment affects it. That's can be what got you there. But the way out of broke, it's going to take mindset plus work to change the circumstances.
Yeah.
And too many people just go, well, woe is me. My parents never had money. I never learned about money. I made too many mistakes. It's too late for me. Wealth is for someone out there who had a different life.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I want our audience to understand you have, I think, a little bit more authority when you say that because of your ethnic heritage. Your family comes from another part of the world. Even though you were born and raised here, I would like to know, based on what you know of your family, do you have a stronger take on that? Do you feel like you can really push back on this idea that, hey, I'm born in poverty, the system's against me? Does any of your family background give you more passion on that statement?
100%. And if you look at the general landscape of immigrants in the U.S., their work ethic is otherworldly. And I do think there's something about it when you have nothing else and this is your one shot and you're willing to do whatever it takes, it changes your circumstances. So you might start broke. That's how most of us start. But it's what happens after that that really matters. And I think immigrants have a different take because they're less comfortable. And I think comfort is a lot of what has gotten America to where it is today. We're comfortable with payments. We want to be comfortable with our lifestyle. What once was a wild want is now a necessity for everyday life. And I think that's largely what got us here. But my parents came from Egypt and Syria.
At what age?
They were in their 20s. They met in Houston, Texas at an Arabic Baptist church.
Yeah.
There's
Which
only a
you
few
don't
of those.
see one of those on every corner.
You can't throw a rock and hit one. And so when they met, they were just figuring it out. And they were working on their degrees and their education and their jobs. And so growing up, I had kind of an immigrant mindset of the frugality and the grind of negotiate, don't let anyone take advantage of you, have agency over your life and the decisions you make. And I still carry that with me today. That kind of frugal scarcity mindset is something that I value. It's helped get me here, but it's also something that I fight against now, being on the other side, to not feel so scarce.
Yeah, we're going to cover that a little bit later because you and I have, I think, vastly different views on money and style, so we'll have some fun with that. But I want to stay where you are because I'm wondering if the immigrant mindset is so powerful because they're coming to America and they're going, okay, there's this image of America, whatever that is. I don't know what people in other countries really think of the American dream. I know what they think of America as I've traveled abroad and you talk to them. But it seems as though, take your parents, for instance, they come over here and they've got this idea of what America is and then what America could do for them, or maybe what America could allow them to do. That's probably a better representation. Then you take an American who's born into maybe lower class or lower middle class, and all they know is what everybody else is saying about the American dream, how great it is, but it doesn't feel great to them. I'm not making an excuse for them, but it feels as though there are two really different mindsets there. Thoughts on that?
Well, it's funny, running into a lot of immigrants, you realize that America is still special to them, even with all its flaws, it's still, they're going, this is still the best place to live out your dream, whatever that dream may be. It's still your best shot. And I think Americans, and this is not a shot at people who were born in America or didn't grow up with that immigrant background, but there's a level of just kind of complacency of it's not your hometown isn't as special to you as it is to maybe someone else visiting. People come to Nashville and they go, what a cool town. And we're like, oh, but the traffic, you got to see that people are moving here. It's ruining everything. But to that person coming into it, it's a whole new experience for them. And so I do think we need to kind of shock ourselves out of it and realize that there is so much opportunity here outside of our comfort zone. And I think that's where we start to get resentful, frustrated, feeling like, well, this is it. And, I moved all over the country, from Boston to Mobile, Alabama. That's about as much of a culture shock as you can get within the United States.
That's right.
And that changed everything for me. I don't think I'd be where I am today if it wasn't for that risk taker in me. And I think every immigrant has a little bit of that risk taker, that calculator risk going, this is it. I got to make this work.
Yeah. All right, for the non-immigrant, the American who's watching this and going, okay, here's this guy. He's with Dave Ramsey. He's got all of this, all of that. He's just saying a bunch of stuff. You really believe that someone can shock their mind, they can crawl, climb, scratch, get out of poverty. What does it take from a mental standpoint? We're going to talk about some financial tactics, but I love what you've been sharing with us. So if there was only one thing and you said, all right, try this and see if I'm wrong, what would you say?
Well, the stuff that you teach, Ken, and talking about the proximity principle, your environment matters way more than you think. And so if you're in the cycle of poverty, it's largely because everyone around you is also in that cycle of poverty. And we've seen this. I mean, you go to a rougher part of town, what do you see? You see Pizza Huts that have turned into title loan spots. You see payday lenders. You see lottery. And that's kind of what surrounds the community. And then you go to affluent communities and you go, what happened to that stuff? You're not going to see a payday lender in the nice part of town.
That's a great point.
And so there's a predatory nature, and you either decide life's going to happen to me and this is my lot in life and hopefully I can leave it a little better for my kids, or you go, we're getting out, whatever it takes. And that might mean we are physically moving out of this area, and that's going to be difficult because that might mean you got to get a better job. You're going to need to find a place that will rent to you. That might mean you need to get education. That might be the blocker that's holding you back from that next thing and breaking free from that cycle. But as far as the mindset goes, you have to decide, all right, this is my starting point, but this is not going to become where it ends. This is not going to become a hammock where I just go, this is it. Yeah. Life happens to me. And I think that really goes to that victim mentality. And I also want to call out, there are forces that are coming against you.
Yes.
This is not like a just pick yourself up by the bootstraps. There are people coming after you. There are predatory lenders out there. There is systemic poverty that is really hard to break out from. But most people who have access to YouTube and podcasts that are watching this, they're not in that place. But in their mind, they're still broke. They're not in poverty, but they're broke. Yeah. And they don't see a way. They feel just as hopeless as the guy down the street.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. These days, you can get advice everywhere. Podcasters, gurus, and influencers telling you how they think you should grow. But how do you know what's actually right for you? Trust me, reading every leadership book and trying every productivity hack can leave you more overwhelmed than inspired. That's one reason I believe in therapy, not as a last resort, but as a strategic investment in your personal and professional growth. Because when you talk to someone who actually listens and can help you think clearly, you get unstuck, you find direction, you grow. And therapy with BetterHelp can make that possible. It's 100% online, so it's flexible, affordable, and built for real life. Just answer a few questions to get started, and they'll match you with a licensed therapist who fits your needs and goals. They've got over 30,000 mental health professionals on their platform, and they've helped millions of people. In fact, BetterHelp has a 4.9-star rating from over 1.7 million reviews in the App Store. So if you're feeling stuck, unsure, or just want to move in a new direction, talk it out with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Ken to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Ken. I'm so glad you mentioned predatory financial practices and institutions, because those things really get us pretty hot.
Yeah.
We gripe a lot. We'll get off of a phone call when we're co-hosting the Ramsey show, and what we say off air should sometimes be on air. It's where we allow ourselves to just go, man, because we really feel for these people who've been sucked into some of these things, and they're truly victims. They have been victimized.
They get hosed. I mean, they talk about the interest rates and what they're paying and how they fell into it. And they go, I didn't know any better, and I was desperate.
Right.
And that's usually when those decisions happen. It's out of desperation.
Completely. So to that end, I hate government regulation. I hate government oversight. But I'm going to suspend my hatred of government for just a moment to have some fun, to set up a fun scenario for you. If you could be king of the world or king of America. Let's have some fun with that.
My Napoleon complex is coming out. Okay.
You're all powerful, George.
Yep.
And you can remove only one predatory financial practice or institution. Wow. Which one do you have the most hatred for? Do you think does the most damage in America today? Which one would you remove and why?
Man.
I know, it's hard to pick.
I'm going to go with the one that affects the people who are already struggling the most.
Okay.
So I'm going to put payday lenders up there.
Interesting.
I mean, I think it should be, they should be in jail.
Okay.
Anyone who's a part of this business model.
All right.
Because when they don't have to disclose the interest rate, but when you actually calculate what the interest rate is, it's upwards of 300 or 400%. So when you think about these payday loans, it's not a lot of money. You're just going, hey, my next check, next payday, I'm going to pay you back.
What do you guess the average amount is? I'm not, I wonder, what do you think it is?
$500?
Really?
$1,000?
Yeah. But 300 or 400% on that, and all of a sudden, that's enough to knock somebody out.
500 turns into 1,000 pretty quick. Yeah. And now you're stuck in a cycle. Because if you went to the payday lender in the first place, you couldn't afford it. And so that's what really frightens me, because it really gets you stuck in the cycle. I have less empathy for middle-class dudes buying luxury cars. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's one that it's like, hey, you willfully decided I want to look good.
Yeah.
Payday lenders, it's a different ballgame. Yeah. These people are trying to survive. Yeah. I don't think they're trying to flex and live a crazy lifestyle. They're just trying to get by.
I think I would be fine with legislation to outlaw that.
Yeah.
I think I could be.
And even just capping interest rates, making it very clear. There's a lot of regulations. Buy now, pay later. It's just now entering the sphere where it's, affecting your credit score, but there's still such little regulation around it. And so this stuff scares me. No matter what sort of class you're looking at, whether it's, lower class, working middle class, upper class, there's all kinds of predatory lenders out there ready to screw you over.
Okay, I'm glad you said buy now, pay later, because I think that's the dumbest financial move currently in America today. Of all the dumb things people can do, I'm going to go with that one, because you're the one that let me in on the dirty little secret that you can buy now, pay later on a 12-pack of Coke or something.
Oh, it's gotten ridiculous.
Just about everything at this point. I guess that's the lowest you can go. And I think that is the dumbest thing. So I pulled some research for you. I want you to react to this. Klarna said that they have seen customers increase their spending by as much as 45% in some industries when paying with installment plans. So I remember growing up, layaway was a thing, right? This feels like...
We'll hold it for you, and when you can pay, you get the item.
Right. Well, this is like the ugly spawn of that, and it's out of control. And I don't see an end to this, because I was recently on Fox Business and they hit me with this, that now credit score companies are starting to say, well, we're going to start taking in your activity on buy now, pay later to affect your credit score. So now where do you see that going?
Oh, gosh. Well, this is one of the things, I remember we did a live stream back in 2021, and they were asking me, hey, what is the big trend that really worries you? And I was telling them buy now, pay later is not going anywhere. Right. It's only going to get bigger and bigger, and these companies see it as a cash cow, and the retailers also see it as a cash cow because of what you mentioned. Klarna brags to the retailers, hey, you want to make more revenue? Add us to as a payment option at checkout. So instead of $100, what they're going to see is, hey, just make a $25 payment today and make the rest of the payments when you can. We're going to give you financial breathing room. They're starting to use the same marketing language as Ramsey to try to make them think, hey, this is a smart money move. Smart people don't use credit cards. They do buy now, pay later. And what they don't realize is this just keeps getting added to your tab, and there's late fees. There's crazy interest that can be even higher than credit cards. And it gets people into this kind of middle-class spending trap, because what are people buying with buy now, pay later? Don't tell me they're trying to put food on the table. They're buying things like entertainment, luxury. 40% of people who went to Coachella, the music festival, use buy now, pay later to finance it. So
Financing
young people,
concert tickets.
yeah, young people who are already broke are going, oh, this is going to be my savior.
Yeah.
And yet they joke about it with their friends, razzing each other, going, oh, dude, Klarna's going to be the death of me, bro. And now Costco's partnered with Affirm. Klarna's, we see DoorDash and Klarna have a new partnership. And so it's only going to get worse as retailers partner with these companies and promote it as the even better way to get what you want now. And so we are running in the opposite direction of delayed gratification, and it's going to come back for a reckoning.
That's right. Here's what strikes me as odd. There's a groundswell of, I don't want to use the word hate, although I think you could say it, but there's a groundswell of unrest with the wealth gap in America. And the wealth gap is getting bigger and bigger.
The old rich are getting richer?
You got it. And certainly that's big on TikTok. That's big in the young generation. I'm raising some Gen Z. It's a theme. Like billionaires are evil, right? But what's ironic to me is they're mad at certain billionaires of the idea of being a billionaire, and yet it seems like they have no grief or no angst or no anger towards big companies that are scheming, colluding, you just named a couple, to actually take advantage of them. If there's going to be some anger, why not at these big companies that are all colluding to turn you into, DoorDash, into financing DoorDash? What is happening here? Shouldn't there be a little bit of a wake-up call, maybe a generational financial revolution against this to go, wait a second, we're pawns. We're wrong. We're mad at the wrong people.
Well, it's interesting because when you look at, the influencers in the finance space, they're peddling credit cards, making you think these credit card companies are your friend. Of course. Because they're getting a kickback for every time you click the affiliate link and sign up for the Capital One or the Chase Sapphire Reserve and all the perks. So all they see is the benefits. They get real starry-eyed and go, well, I want to be like that. I'm going to finesse the system to try to take advantage of it. So they don't see it as that's a bad company that's out to get me. They see it as, ooh, I'm going to play their game and beat them at it.
Right.
Capital One is sponsoring Taylor Swift's tour, and you can't afford tickets to the Taylor Swift tour.
Right.
Don't tell me that they're your friend.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. We need a villain. Every story needs a villain. In our life, it's easy to say, well, the billionaire's a problem. And here's my favorite point to make. At what point does wealth become evil? Is it when someone has more than you? Because no one's saying, hey, if you have $999 million, you're not evil. But as soon as you hit $1 billion, you have a lack of integrity and character and you must be taken down.
Right.
Is $1 million too much? Is 500,000 too much? And so what you realize at the root of it is they're hurting and they go, someone else has it better than me and I don't have that. And so I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that there aren't billionaires who aren't evil. But, the ones who are nice, we call those people philanthropists.
Yeah.
We praise them. We put them on a pedestal and go, wow, look at their generosity. Look at the impact they can have.
Sure. Well, at what point, though, it gets to be so ridiculous, you go, okay, well, this is too much. So we need to have some laws of the universe that say, I love Tesla until its founder supports somebody that I don't like. I love Tesla until the founder makes too much money. Because, see, you're benefiting from this. So they've made something that is popular enough for people to consume it, and then they get a piece of that action. It's almost nonsensical about how we treat what is too much.
Yes.
So that
it all comes down to ratios. And, Dave Ramsey talks about this.
Yeah.
Dave buying a luxury car is like me buying a biscuit.
Right.
So, yes, I'm angry that Dave got another luxury car, and that's not fair because I don't have a luxury car.
Right.
But at the same time, we realize Jeff Bezos buying a mega yacht is like this much of his world. That's like you buying an avocado toast. So, yes, it's not fair. And I don't want to be a billionaire.
Well,
That's
and the
not a
irony
goal of
is,
mine.
I'd love to see the Amazon receipts of people who criticize Bezos the most. And I'm no defender of Bezos.
Yeah.
I've publicly gone against him on horrific employment practices at Amazon.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, you're buying his stuff at a lot cheaper than you can get anywhere else.
They created a product and they served the customers and they served them and they got presidents' faces.
Yeah.
And because of that. And so are they evil? I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah. I think we have better things to do than to blame our life's problems on billionaires.
Hey, I want to tell you about my new sponsor, Delete Me. Here's an interesting fact for you. It's a little scary, too. Your personal data is everywhere on the internet. And I don't just mean your name. I'm talking about stuff you don't want out there, like your home address, phone number, names of your kids, and so much more. And that's all thanks to the data broker sites that sell your data. Then it ends up in the hands of online thieves who use it in scams and phishing attacks. And the worst part is, even if you think you've cleaned up your digital footprint, your personal info can pop back up without warning. And that's why I'm proud to recommend Delete Me. They're the industry leader at scrubbing your info from hundreds of data broker sites, and not just once, but continuously. Then they send you detailed reports showing what they've removed and from where. And if you're thinking, well, I've got a unique situation, they've got specialists ready to help. Look, I want to make sure you understand this isn't about paranoia. This is about being prepared to protect yourself. So don't wait for a phishing scam to catch you off guard. Go to joindeleteme.com/front row seat and do it today. And use the promo code front row seat for 20% off an annual plan. That comes out to just $9 a month. That's joindeleteme.com/front row seat. All right, let's pivot into, we've been talking about some of the institutions that trap Americans. Let's talk about some habits that are less about the institution. If you were going to highlight a few habits that people have that keep them broke, what would come to the top of your mind?
The first one is instant gratification. That general habit of saying, I want it now, regardless of if I can afford it. I mean, think about this. I have a smart spender framework in my book where I just go, hey, what do you want? What's the motive behind you wanting that thing? Can you afford it in full? Have you done a little bit of research to know you're making the right decision? And then, is it the right time? 5 questions that could change your life if you answer them. If America answered those correctly, we would be $0 in debt.
Yeah.
But here we are, trillions in debt, 1.2+ trillion in just credit card debt alone.
Wow.
And yet people go, well, just pay it off every month. It's not that hard, people. Apparently it is that hard. Apparently it is that tempting to use other people's money and pay them back later versus using your money and paying for it now. That involves some actual friction and pain in your life. And I think America especially, we've gotten so comfortable with this because of how normalized it's become. Everyone's got a payment. Who cares? It's not a big deal. And all the while, we're complaining, we're anxious, we're frustrated, we're broke. In the wealthiest nation, we're all complaining that we're broke. That's not okay.
Yeah. Here's some data. I want a hot take. 36% of American households that earn $100,000 or more live paycheck to paycheck. I mean,
no empathy.
None.
You've lost we see this on the Ramsey show, and I call it out. I go, how much do you guys make? We make $250,000. I go, no one in America cares anymore. No one cares.
Yeah.
People have real problems, and you're over here still going into debt for things you can't afford, taking out the HELOC, putting the things on the credit cards, buying the toys, putting everything on payments in your life, even though with a little bit of effort, you could have saved up and afforded it in full and not been calling us because you're in a bind. And so most of the time, here's the habit that I think is behind the other habits. We make decisions when it comes to money, and then we go, well, as long as everything works out the way it's working out right now, I'll be okay. When do you take out the car loan?
So true.
I can afford the payment on the car. Until you can't, until you have the layoff or you get fired or there's the health scare.
Half your first floor has to be replaced. We've heard calls like this.
Yes. And so everyone makes decisions and they go, well, I could afford it back then, but then XYZ happened. And so the power of the Ramsey plan, this proven financial plan, is that we are foreshadowing that life is going to happen. And so don't think if, just think when, and prepare for it. Not on a paranoid level, but just in I'm not going to owe people money, and I'm going to have money in an emergency fund to cover all the things that are going to come my way. I'm going to have good insurance in place to make sure that I'm protecting the wealth that I'm building. And those simple things can cause anyone to build wealth. Whether you make $40,000 or $400,000, the principles apply.
You know, I'm going to proactively get into the YouTube comments, which I actually never go to. You, on the other hand,
That's
because
my
of your
domicile.
Deep
It's
neurosis,
my humble abode. Is the
you
YouTube
really
comment
enjoy
section.
swimming with the sharks there. But I can see it now. Oh, Ken, George, you guys are out of touch.
Oh, I'm so out of
You
touch.
millionaires, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you have no idea. You can barely live on $100,000 in the Bay Area or Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So to the cynics, what say you? You know what the
Oh,
comments are.
Well, here's my thing, and here's what I realized, and I don't know if this is on growth, but I've stopped caring about the opinions of a guy whose profile picture is an anime character and their profile just says #Bitcoin.
Right.
I'm going, oh, this guy is not well.
Right.
He's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
He's hurting. And so that's where I've realized I see myself in them. I see that cynical guy who goes, woe is me, and this is my outlet to try to push out my pain onto others in the comments section and in Reddit threads because I've lost hope. Right. And if I've lost hope, everyone must suffer.
Oh, yeah.
That's the comment section.
People who try to live their life financially responsibly, they're going to have to do things that are very outside the norm, right?
Yes.
Dave Ramsey for years has called us weird people, right? But at some point, you got to decide, am I going to do what everybody else is doing? Because that doesn't tend to work. There's a lot of broke people.
Yeah.
But wealthy people do things different. And at some point, you got to get over labels and go and get over opinions and say, how do I want to live my life? Because again, you started off this conversation saying you can get out of poverty. But a lot of people don't believe that you can.
And yet people do it. And they go, well, how'd you do it? And they go, oh, never mind. That looks like a lot of hard work.
100%.
And I get it. When you're down, it's even harder to have any energy to go make a huge change in your life. But that's what it takes. I even ended my book with a chapter talking about cynicism versus hope.
Breaking Free from Broke, by the way, it's a great cover.
It's like QVC. This is so great. As I've been doing this job, as I've gotten out of debt and went from broke to millionaire, that's the differentiator right there. It's, are you going to be a person who chooses cynicism, or are you going to be a person who goes, yeah, I'm done with that, not today? Because that cynic lives inside all of us. That guy in the comment section who's faceless, just spouting off on the internet. And we talked about this off air earlier. I've never met a super successful person that is in a comment section. I've just never met one.
That's a very good point.
I'm not saying you're a bad person if you're leaving comments on social media. I've just never met a person who says, I'm a well-adjusted, mature, healthy adult who has good relationships and a job I love, and I spend my nights hanging out in the comment section.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think you're making a very, first of all, true point.
And we'll get some comments on this episode now. People saying, well, that's not me.
Yeah. I like
This is
to
not a razz.
assure,
Your audience is salt of the earth.
right,
Let me just
well,
put that
I
out
like
there.
to assure everyone who wants to take a shot at me, go ahead. I'll never see it.
You just announced the roast of Ken Coleman in the comments section.
Go for it.
You know that, right?
Go for it. I could care less, and I agree with you. And I think there's a bigger point here. This isn't like two guys who we have somewhat public lives, and people get to take shots at us because it's the nature of what we do. But what the bigger point is that you're making, and I think you're right. If I'm spending all my time criticizing other people who are trying to help people versus helping myself, at some point, take some personal responsibility.
All of it takes energy. So where are you going to direct it?
Yeah.
To a comment section, into the ether?
Yeah.
Or redirecting it into your own life to go, okay, what is this telling me about me? What kind of mirror can I hold up to go, all right, I got to make that change.
Yeah.
That's on me.
So good. All right, quick question. When was the last time you actually thought about your mattress? Is it good? Is it helping you get good rest? The reality is most of us don't really think about it until we wake up sweating in the middle of the night, or the next morning we're sore or just exhausted because we didn't sleep well. Let's be honest, when you are intentional about investing in your future, trying to be better and move up, sleep shouldn't be something that you're not thinking about because it can hold you back. And that's why I'm really excited about my friends at Avocado Green Mattress. I love mine. Their mattresses are assembled in the USA with certified organic materials, which means there's no chemical junk or petroleum in those mattresses. And they don't skimp on quality. Avocado gives you clean, breathable comfort that helps you sleep deeper and cooler throughout the night. They've got customizable options for how you like to sleep: firm, medium, or plush. And they have a simple mattress quiz that'll help you find the right fit. So whether you're upgrading the guest room or replacing the old one in your bedroom, Avocado gives you luxury that's built to last with materials that you can feel good about bringing into your home, and they back it all up with industry-leading warranties. Head to avocadogreenmattress.com/Ken today for $50 off if you use the code KEN50. That's avocadogreenmattress.com/Ken and use the code KEN50. Avocado, dream of better. Let's talk about proximity to wealth. I don't think it's a bad thing to spend time with people that are a lot wealthier than you. In fact, you and I are surrounded by that.
Yeah.
You know, we routinely are around people who are far, far wealthier than us. But I don't walk away at the end of those interactions sick with envy, green with jealousy. And I also don't walk away going, I want to have exactly what they have and the same amount of money. I actually walk away with a real appreciation for who they are as people, because I wouldn't be spending time with them if they were jerks.
Yeah.
And I find that I'm actually a little bit more inspired to be a better version of myself. And I bring that up because there's a lot of emotion around wealth and money in general. Do you have that same experience? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to money, and I talk about this in the book, I say, I want to talk about money so that we can stop talking about money. And what I found is with wealthy people, rarely are they talking
Oh, that's a great point.
dollars.
Yeah.
And so money, when it's a problem, is all that's on your mind when it's stressing you out.
Yeah.
So if we can get above that, rise above that obstacle, get out of debt, get the emergency fund, let's start building wealth for the future, then we can focus on what really matters in our life. And what you find is it's not money. And so it's a trite thing to say when you hear the celebrities go, money isn't everything. Trust me, guys, I have all the money in the world. And I'm like, okay, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
But I think at the heart of that is saying you think that there's this mountaintop that when you reach this certain number or this certain goal or this certain level of success, your life is going to be, daisies and gumdrops. And what you find out is, oh, you're still the same guy inside who hated himself and you thought accomplishing a goal was going to fix that.
Yeah.
And so I see this with the FIRE movement a lot. People who are
By
trying...
the way, for our listener and
Yes.
viewer that don't know what he's talking about, financially independent and retire early. That's a movement of people.
Yeah. And
Working like crazy for
there's
15,
things I love
20
about
years.
it because what they're doing is they're living on less than they make.
Yeah.
They're staying out of debt and they're investing the surplus.
Yeah.
Now, it's to the nth degree,
Yeah.
to an unhealthy level. But what I found as I've been studying this is that their goalpost continuously moves. And the numbers will astound you. They'll go, hey guys, I hit 5 million, but I think I'm going to have to go to 6 or 7 now. And we're all going, what do you mean? You could retire like 7 years ago.
Right.
And what you find is it was never actually about the number. There's something else inside of them where they go,
Yeah.
well, I don't really want to lose this elevated status I have at work. I don't really want to lose the income because that
Sure.
did matter to me more than I thought.
And some of it is just the nature of humans. We are wired for progress.
Yes.
So you bust your tail to reach one goal. You get there and you go, do I have a little bit more in me? And the answer is yes. Can I go 5 more reps? Can I up my max in the weight room? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right. Can I get a faster mile? All that. I'm so glad you took us there. This is fascinating. I have some data that I want you to comment on, okay? 6 in 10 Americans say that money can buy happiness, okay? We'll get to that in a second. Here it is by generational breakdown. Millennials say that a net worth of $1.7 million is needed to be happy. Gen Xers, $1.2 million net worth to be happy.
Okay.
Baby boomers, just under $1 million. And this, I don't know if it surprised me, but it fascinates me. Gen Z, of whom I'm raising 3, say that a net worth of only $487,000 is needed to be happy.
Well, it reminds me of when you were a kid and you got like a $50 bill on your birthday and you went, well, guess I don't have to ever work a day in my life. Like there's a level when you don't have money that you see a little bit and you go, oh my goodness, I'm wealthy.
Right.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have boomers who, they have had a lot of good things going for them. They've had hardships and there's some broke boomers and some really wealthy boomers, but they got a house when it cost a bushel of raspberries. And so they don't need as much because they're not looking to buy a home. You know what I mean? And so they're like, I'm good. I have a home. It's either paid off or close to paid off, hopefully, if they didn't screw it up, because they've had 30 dang years to pay the thing off.
Right.
So if they haven't done it by now, they're probably not doing it.
Right.
And they also had pensions that have now disappeared completely. And so then you have Gen X, who's this kind of sandwich generation. They're trying to raise the Gen Zers while also taking care of their aging parents who maybe didn't do enough. So I really feel that crunch for the Gen Xers. And then you have millennials who are mad at every generation for ruining everything. The Gen Zers are entitled. The boomers have it too good. And we're out here grinding, bringing the internet to all of you. And this is how you repay us.
What's the big beef between, what do you think millennials think of Xers?
I think they largely forgot about them.
Yeah.
I think the gap is the millennials are upset at the boomers and the Gen Xers are just like, hey, we're over
I
here.
completely agree.
Is that true?
I think
You find that to be true
I
as a Gen
find it to
Xer?
be true, and I really believe, I don't think it was set up to be this way, but I think it's ironic that my generation is called Generation X. X marks the spot. X is what people used to sign their name with when they couldn't write. It's kind of forgettable. It's fascinating that
Yeah.
you see that and sense that.
And I also think Gen Z has come to terms with the wild reality we find ourselves in. And so I think a little bit they've resigned. They've went, well, I'm never going to own a home, let alone have $1 million.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If you thought that number, you kind of led into it was the youth and inexperience saying 487. And I think that's probably true. But I also think that there is a mindset that I don't need all of this.
Yes.
They have grown up in some ways. A lot of Gen Z has experienced a lot of luxury. They've grown into it, a lot of ease, things of that nature. Or they see so much anxiety around money. That's all they hear mom and dad do, gripe about it, or grandparents, and they go, I don't know if this is the answer. I think it's a mix with Gen Z.
Well, they are the most creative, resourceful generation.
Yeah.
And so they're going to just figure it out. Whether we're all going to be YouTubers and college will be abolished one day, who knows? But I think they're just going, we'll figure it out. This sucks. I will never own anything, but let me just enjoy my life right now, regardless of what it takes. And they're going to be resilient. I think they will be a very resilient generation compared to the ones that came before them.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it'll be interesting how they get there, but I think they're going to be
I've been very
okay.
impressed with the ones that I've encountered and the trends that I've seen. I mean, look, the millennials are looking to Gen Z for the fashion trends.
Let's take on a very big topic that I think is maybe crisis level. I want to get your take. Retirement. 53% of millennials have more debt than retirement savings. 46% of boomers are living on less than $100,000 in retirement. 1/3 of Americans expect to keep working past retirement age because they'll have to. George, does America have a retirement crisis?
Absolutely. 100%. And there's two spectrums here. There's the I'll never have enough to retire, and so I'm just not gonna invest. And then there's those who they're doing as much as they can, but they're crippled by the payments and lifestyle that they have created for themselves. And so there's different sort of cohorts in this retirement crisis. But when you look at the issues of what's really going on, it's they're not saving at all. They're investing in the wrong things. They're not investing enough. That's another problem. And so when you tie all those together, you go, okay, so number one, there's a lot of people who can't invest because they have crippling debt payments or they feel like they don't make enough. Then there's the bunch who say, well, I'm overwhelmed by it, and so I just don't do it. Then you have the group who says, well, I know better than, so I'm going to choose single stocks and crypto and try to finesse the game to get there faster. These are the get-rich-quick types. And then you have those who are just going, that's not for me, I'll figure it out. And you see this a lot with entrepreneurs, you see this with creative types, you see this with lower income where they go, dude, I don't have money to invest even if I wanted to. And even if I did have the money, I wouldn't know where to put it and I wouldn't feel confident. And so I think the solution to the crisis is, number one, getting out of debt. Because we see that the average monthly payment for consumer debt in America is $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month that they're sending to lenders. So they're paying interest instead of earning it.
Yeah.
And if you flip that and you go, hey, if you follow the Ramsey plan, we know that on average it takes 18 to 24 months to get out of debt using the debt snowball. If you free up that $1,400 in payments in the next 2 years and you invest that for the rest of your working life, you are going to be a multi-millionaire. And it's not because you made millions. You didn't even invest millions. You invested a fraction of that, and compound growth took over and did the heavy lifting later on down the road. But the problem is in today's world, things move so fast that we can't see the forest from the trees to go, oh, let me make a 25-year decision today. We can't think like that. It's just what's happening tonight, what's happening this weekend. The news is changing so rapidly, we can't keep up. And so I think the tortoise is going to beat the hare for the foreseeable future. Regardless of what generation you are, we see rich Gen Zers, we see broke boomers, we see rich boomers, broke Gen Zers. And so I don't think there's going to be as much of a class warfare. It's going to be the environmental impact. Who are the people you're hanging around? What are the kinds of jobs they have? What are you feeding your brain? What are you doing with your free time? That tells me if you're going to build wealth or not.
Yeah.
Not the inflation, not the economy, not who's going to be the next president, not what the boomers did. It's those factors.
Right. What, based on where we stand right now in today's economy, what do you think people need as it relates to an amount of money to retire on? If you could just wave your wand and go, I give you this much and this much, what do you think is the right target for people?
Ooh. Can I do 2 buckets?
You can do whatever you want.
One is people who follow the Ramsey plan, which is they become debt-free, they get an emergency fund, they're investing for retirement, and they pay their house off within, let's say, 15 or 20 years.
Okay. For those people, how much do they need?
For those people, you need a whole lot less because you have removed your debt payments altogether.
Sure.
So when you remove that out of the average person's budget, let's say their expenses were $5,000 a month. Well, now what you need to actually exist, just the bare minimum, becomes $1,500, $2,000. Food, insurance, property taxes, a little bit of fun money. That's what you're looking at. Travel, generosity. And so that really depends on your goals, your lifestyle. And then you see people who go, well, I'm used to spending $7,000 a month between all of my payments, my giant mortgage, my lifestyle. And therefore, what I need to retire is triple that of the person who had $2,500 a month in expenses. And so the magic number, I don't think exists. I think there's people who could have $1 million and say, I'm living great.
Well, but I like what you just did there. So based on those buckets, so people that are very conservative, no debt, the Ramsey way, if you will.
Yeah.
What's a round number that you go, they're going to be very comfortable with this much in retirement?
Yeah, if you get a handle on finances, you're following the Ramsey plan, I think $1 million is great.
Really? Okay.
In most cities. Now, super high cost of living area,
Sure.
that's going to skew higher. Okay. Super low cost of living area, you don't need as much.
All right. What about the second bucket of people that they've got debt, they have a very high burn rate, cost of living, whatever the situation is, and they're going to go into retirement wanting to maintain that? What's a round number there?
I think you're looking closer to $2.5 million. If your burn rate is going to stay high for
even with the expanded living age now?
I mean, yes, people are getting older, and what we find is that most people who actually have money don't use it all. They die very wealthy. So that's just kind of the oxymoron.
And that's drawing. Let's for our cynics here. Let's play with that amount of money. They're drawing what amount each year? What percentage?
Well, you know what we found? So there's this study called the Trinity study that's famously used by the FIRE movement folks that says, hey, if you withdraw about 4% a year from your nest egg, you will never run out of money. You'll never touch the principal.
Okay.
And so I think that's still wildly conservative. Even the person who came up with that study has said, it's probably closer to 5.
Yeah.
So still very conservative. Right. But even using that number, you're talking about take your yearly expenses, multiply it by 20.
Right.
That's about a 5% withdrawal rate without ever running out of money or touching the principal.
Yeah.
There's an interesting book called Die with Zero that I don't completely agree with, but it has some interesting principles that says, hey, why are you hoarding all of this money until you're 80 and then dying and then giving your 60-year-old kid $5 million? Instead, use the money while you're alive, create amazing experiences, be generous, give it to your kids while they need a leg up in their 20s and 30s. And so I love that mentality. And it changed my mind to go, you know what? I don't need to die with millions of dollars. No, I don't want to die with zero, technically, and become totally broke. Because again, if I could tell you my death date, that'd really help me crunch the numbers here.
Sure. Yeah.
If I knew, hey, at 71 and a half, you're going to croak, great. Now I can run out my Excel spreadsheet perfectly.
Right.
The Lord didn't give us that for a good reason.
Yeah.
And so I think the goal here is to have more than you need while still accomplishing all of your goals.
Right.
And so you don't want to have a flat tire. And that's why the Ramsey plan is ironclad, because we go, hey, invest 15%, because if you do that for your working career, you're going to have plenty of money. Once you pay off the house, you can increase your investing, increase your generosity, and increase your spending.
Yeah.
And I think if people that actually do that end up with way more than they need, and so it becomes a largely hypothetical scenario.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, if you have $1 million to $2 million, you're going to have a great retirement from your 60s into your 80s.
Okay. I think that may shock a lot of people that is enough. But it's really important to understand what you said, that you've got no debt, and you've got reasonable expenses, and now all of a sudden you're in great shape.
And think about the numbers there. I mean, if you're spending $100,000 a year, which very few people are, you're talking about times 20 or times 25, $2 to $2.5 million would allow you to spend $100,000 in a year.
Yeah. No, I love that.
And so I don't think it's as astronomical as you think. And if you run the numbers out of investing from your 30s and 40s, if you start from zero, you can still retire with over $1 million if you replace all of that money you were throwing to lenders into that investment account.
Yeah. We've talked around this topic, but I want to get really tactical. Can a W-2 employee, because 70% of Americans, I use this data all the time on the show because it's fascinating. 70% of Americans would like to be self-employed. Only 6% are. So we've talked about that. Can a W-2 employee grow wealth in America today? And if they can, how does George Kamel say they should do it?
Well, as someone who's only been a W-2 employee, let me tell you, it's very much possible. In fact, I think it's easier. It's an easier path than entrepreneurial path.
Oh, boy.
That 6% who even made it, we don't know how much they're making. And I'll tell you, as we take calls on the Ramsey Show, people who have a small business, we go, well, how much are you actually making at the end of the day?
That's right.
I think we probably made $30,000 this year. I go, you could have just worked a retail job and made more than that.
Sure.
And so I love the passion behind small business. I'm a big fan of small business. I think very few people should actually be entrepreneurs. And that might offend people in the YouTube comments. I'm okay with that. I think most of us are better off being a W-2 employee working for the man, quote unquote. We have villainized companies, corporations. We villainized leadership, and for good reason. There's a lot of terrible, toxic leaders out there and companies that suck, peddling terrible products, and it becomes a soulless nightmare where you are just collecting a paycheck. But there's also another side, and the grass is greener. And there's companies like Ramsey Solutions out there. There's companies doing great things with great leaders all over America where you can make great money, by the way, 6 figures. And you can climb whatever corporate ladder there is. We have villainized the ladder to be this terrible thing that you shouldn't have to work your way up in any organization. That's toxic. I should just get to work for myself and wake up and have checks show up. Well, that's also insane. And so I think if you can't do it working for someone else, go do it on your own. But for most people, start out as a W-2 employee until you can't sleep at night because you're dreaming of that next thing. But don't think that self-employment is just some shortcutted path to wealth. Because what we found is that those small business owners, the entrepreneurs, they're not investing. Their business is their investment. And unless they can sell that company one day, which is really just selling a job in most cases, they got nothing in retirement. And so the advantage of having an employer are these benefits that are set up before you, where there is a 401k package and there's the healthcare and the benefits. And we take calls like this too, Ken, on the other side. Well, I got to keep the job because of the benefits. Never take a job just because of the benefits. You will end up hating yourself.
Yeah.
And so we always tell people, go do the work you love. And if the benefits are there, that's just gravy on top.
Yep, absolutely right. Okay. I genuinely, as a Xer, I genuinely feel for young Americans who are coming out of college, they're moving into the workforce. Life is very expensive. Housing is the big one. It feels unreachable for so many, and I don't think that's snowflakery. I think that's real. It is very, very expensive. Life in general is very, very expensive. One of the things that we get confronted with on the Ramsey Show together many times is someone will call in and they're still living with their parents. And again, I'm on the precipice of this. I've got a almost 20-year-old, soon to be college sophomore is my oldest. I mean, we haven't had this long sit-down conversation, but I love him. I cry every time I drop him off, or he leaves Thanksgiving break, but I don't want him to live with me. You know what I mean? After college, because I think that's selfish for me as a parent. For young people, though, and we've both said, hey, it's okay, live with your parents for a certain season to save some money during a period, but we really push independence. Maybe controversial question, may not. Is there an age? Forget whatever's going on in money. Is there an age where you say, George, they got to be out of the house? I'm okay with it up to this point, but after this age, it's ridiculous. Do you have an opinion? I do.
What's
the number?
I got roasted for this previously. So
you did?
Yes, I was on Iced Coffee Hour with Graham Stephan, and they asked point blank, hey, when should someone move out? And I said, hey, here's what I said.
Okay.
I said, hey, if you're 25, you're out of college, whatever your education path was, you're working, you have a salary, it's time to get out.
Yeah.
Regardless of your situation. Now, I understand there's outliers, there's cultural differences.
Yeah.
Well, in my culture, it's normal that we all just live together, and grandma and 19 aunts and uncles all live in the same house.
I'll give you an asterisk on that.
Not talking about that.
Right.
Then there's the life crisis, right? A divorce, a pregnancy, whatever the thing is where it's like, hey, I need just a safe place to land for a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's some caveats in that. But
I'm
for the
with you.
average person, especially men, because I think there's a crisis of young men who have yet to become men.
Yeah.
Who are just going, well, it's easier, it's more comfortable, I can save money. And I go, how much are you saving? This is my favorite question to ask. How much are you saving per month in a savings account? I think like $300. All right, so $3,000 a year. What's your goal here? Well, I want to save up for a house. Okay, what's your down payment goal? $50,000.
Yeah.
And I do napkin math, and I go, okay,
Yeah.
50,000 divided by 3. Looks like you're going to be 47 living with mom and
They're
dad,
out
bud.
of touch with reality.
And so that's where I go, I think there's something to it, and I don't have these scientific...
Why 25?
I think that's the point where you've exhausted most of your education now, unless you're going to medical, law school, those things are caveats.
Boy, I got to tell you.
You're going younger.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
I was being nice with the 25.
I think you're being very generous. I think you were being safe. I don't know why anybody would get after you
Just
for that.
mid-20s feels
I'm
right.
going to tell you what it is for me. It's college graduation date or 22, whichever comes first. And I mean that. You graduate college. I'm not talking about coming home for 3 weeks while you're waiting for your job to start or a month. I'm talking like you're full-blown living.
You're planted there.
Yeah, this isn't like a month or two of transition. I'm talking like I'm going to live with mom and dad for a year. Yeah. I 22 or college graduation. You get the degree, go get you 4 or 5 buddies. You need to leave.
Yes.
Now, full disclosure, and again, I don't care if I'm criticized for this, but I just think that is an adulthood rite of passage. I'm also not criticizing anybody who didn't do that, so spare the feelings.
This is not a knock on you for
I'm
doing
not
that.
criticizing you. I'm saying I think what is best is for a young person to figure life out.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen it in our son who goes to a major metropolitan city after living in a bubble of Williamson County. And he's in one of the largest cities in the country, and he's thriving. And I didn't teach him how to do any of that. Like, you couldn't.
Yeah.
And I've seen just in that area his growth. So I want to see a college graduate figure it out. Don't live with mom and dad. I don't care what you do. Live in a hostel. I don't care. Figure it out. I just think there needs to be a separation.
Yeah,
so
we're
I thought
missing that
25
resilience.
is generous.
Well, and here's what I also found.
That gives a kid 3 years to live with their parents, George.
Well, that's, you take a gap year, your eat, pray, love journey. I don't know what they're doing these
You're
days.
very nice.
It's just taking people longer. We get calls, I'm working on my 3rd master's degree. I'm like, what are you running from?
Okay, here's a hot take. I think millions of Americans choose graduate level degrees because they don't know what's next, and that gives them an easy thing to talk about. Because nobody goes, you're going to get a graduate degree? Like, I'm the only person that scoffs at those things.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. I get very frustrated with people who are just chasing another degree, hoping they're going to find themselves in it. And that never happens. What ends up happening is they go further into debt. They have no real work experience in the real world, and it becomes even more difficult for them to climb out of it. So that's the hot take. Mid-20s salary. It's time to go and figure it out, build some resiliency. Yes, it might take a little longer to get out of debt or save for that house, but what I found is it builds so much character and confidence in yourself
Yeah.
that it causes you to get a better job,
Yeah.
to meet that person. And it just is more difficult when mom is still folding your laundry, this is real talk. My mom is that person. I'm a grown man, but when I show up at home, mom's, hey, I'll get it. She's just Middle Eastern hospitality to a T, and I revert to that child.
Yeah. Let's go to the headlines, George. Your thoughts on a few of the provisions from the big, beautiful bill. Okay, this has been in the news. It's now passed, and there's a couple of provisions now that we know it's law, and I want to run these by you and then have you, item by item, tell people what they should be doing with that money.
Okay, this is exciting.
Okay, great. First is no tax on tips. This bill allows a deduction of up to $25,000 in tip income for individuals in traditionally tipped industries such as restaurant servers, rideshare drivers. Key to point out, George, the deduction is temporary. It will expire in 2028, and it will phase out for those with higher income. So little caveat for all the people who watch these things and go, he didn't mention this. I mentioned the whole enchilada there. Okay, what do they do with this? It's a big deal, George.
Yeah, what this amounts to is not a dollar for dollar deduction, but hey, if that first $25,000 of tips isn't taxed and you're making that kind of money, that's thousands of dollars back in your pocket.
What do I do with it if I'm struggling
What
financially?
most people do is they go spend it, and they go,
Yes.
I didn't realize I got a raise. It just disappeared, and lifestyle creep happens. So what you should do is realize, oh, wow, this is my get out of debt 6 months faster card. And so if you can allocate that savings into your financial goals, you're going to benefit hugely from this. The other fear on the other side is that employers go, well, I can pay people less now because they're making it up on the other side. And so I'm not trying to vilify the employers, but my fear is that this is not going to be as life-changing as we think.
Great point. Okay, so let's follow that up. I think that's a legitimate concern. If I'm in that situation, George, what do I do if that happens? How do I look at my budget? How do I prepare for that?
Well, number one, if you rely largely on tips, number one, find an employer with integrity who's not going to basically dock your pay because of this provision. And then number two, you largely have a regular income if you're living on tips. And so you've got to be really good at budgeting. And so I would download an app like EveryDollar and go, okay, I'm making $3,400 this month. My expenses are $2,200. I'm going to allocate the other $1,200 towards debt. So that's the game to play if you actually want to succeed, grow, get out of debt faster when you have a regular income.
Okay, different provision, but maybe similar advice. No tax on overtime. The bill allows a deduction of up to $12,500 for overtime pay with a phase out for higher earners. And again, sunsetting in 2028. So we got about a 3-year window to make hay if you're in this situation. If you're somebody who can benefit from overtime, what's your financial coach advice on this provision?
I'd work as much overtime as I can, regardless of how much tax deduction I'm getting. I don't do anything for a tax deduction. And so if you are working overtime, it's probably for a good reason. And I hope you're making great money working overtime and you can allocate that to the debt. And most people that are working extra are doing it because they have to, not because they want to. And so I'd love for them to get to a place where they get out of debt. Now they have the choice. Hey, do I want to? Hey, yeah, I got the flexibility to work overtime instead of a have to, which is a very different situation. And again, realizing $12,500 total deduction, that's going to save me maybe $2,000 in taxes. What am I doing with that few extra $100 in my budget every month? Am I actually allocating it toward the goals, or is this now becoming fun money that disappears again? You got to really take control of these savings because it's not something you're going to see physically.
Yeah. This is why you need a tax pro. You know,
Yes.
somebody who can advise you, okay, here's the bill, here's what it's saying on the news. How does that headline affect my bottom line? So great advice there. I love that. Last one, I was really excited about this. It's rare that a piece of policy comes across my little news ticker and I go, oh, no, that's good. I like the other two provisions. I think it's great. And I feel like this is there's a little bit of something for everybody here. You know, the tax on tips, I'm thinking of the single mom comes to mind. I think of that younger worker who's getting started. I think, man, that's good. And then I think the no tax on overtime, those are the parents, multiple, you know,
This is working class right
Working
here.
class.
Yeah. Let's
this
help
is
them.
for, I think, the greatest part of our generation, and that's always going to be the senior citizens. They've all made it to where we want to get to. Tax relief for seniors. The bill provides an additional $6,000 deduction for seniors with the goal of reducing or eliminating taxes on their Social Security benefits.
I like that.
I like it too because you and I have been on the other end of the phone for a lot of seniors who didn't have any retirement and they are living completely off of Social Security benefits. This is real money for seniors that may be watching this or family of senior citizens. What do we need to do with this?
Well, we've had this endless taxation, right? We take our check and the government goes, hey, we're taking a big chunk out for Social Security, for Medicare, for federal taxes, for state taxes. And then they're saying, hey, we're going to give this money to you later. Well, when they give that money to you, they tax that as well.
Right.
And so I love that they're going, hey, let's reduce the taxes on Social Security because people who are needing that money, they're not doing well. For the people who are doing well and Social Security is just gravy on top, that's icing on the cake, they're not going to be affected as much. But for the people who are really struggling, this is going to add a little bit of money back into their life. Again, nothing life-changing, but every dollar matters when you're trying to survive off $2,200 a month. And so I don't think it fixes the problem, which is you're not going to survive off $2,200 for most people. But I do think it alleviates a little bit of that pressure. And the most heartbreaking calls we take on the show are the elderly folks who I'm like, hey, you can't go back to work.
That's right.
You're on a fixed income and you still have debt to pay off. And they're stuck going, should I do a reverse mortgage because I saw a washed up celebrity on late night TV pitch it? And it seems like my only way out of this.
Right.
And so those are really sad situations where your income's your greatest wealth building tool and they don't have that anymore. They don't have the time or the money.
Yeah, so as a financial coach and expert, you like these three provisions. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the tax cuts are going to benefit that kind of middle to upper class.
Yeah.
And so just like any bill, it's going to hurt some people. It's going to help some people. It's not magic. It's nobody's savior. And it's also not the devil incarnate.
That's right.
And so I don't put much stock in it. Yay.
And we're not talking about the bill in its totality. We're talking about these provisions.
The tax cuts in general.
As an opportunity. Yeah.
So I think any tax cut, as you know. Now, what I don't like is adding to the national deficit to the tune of trillions of dollars that our children and children's children will have to deal with.
That's right.
Increasing the debt ceiling. So we have a lot of work to do, but I don't think it's a problem the bill was aiming to solve.
Yeah.
I think it's largely some political theater to go look at what we did as a party.
Yeah.
And they'll put a notch on their belt.
We've talked about money from just about every angle. There's so much emotion around money. And I've never asked you this. And we've logged hundreds of hours together.
I've known you for, 15 years now?
Oh, yeah. How do you fight negative emotions around money to stay content? You know, because you strike me as very, very disciplined. But also you strike me as content and you've done well. I've never asked you that. What can we learn from that? What would you encourage us with based on what you've learned about dealing with contentment around money or lack of money?
I remember talking about this with Graham and Jack on Iced Coffee Hour, and Graham has done very well. Yeah. I mean, he's worth, 20-something million dollars. And so I'm sharing my story. Hey, I went from broke to net worth millionaire in 10 years. And it was kind of crickets. They're like, oh, that's cute. You know what I mean? The level of wealth of the people they're dealing with and talking to and hanging around. And they went, why are you so at peace with this? And I went, I never thought about that. But I think the truth is I look at finances through a lens of faith, which is very grounding to me. To look at Scripture, to look at the wisdom from Proverbs, to look at Ecclesiastes, which is my favorite emo chapter of the Bible.
Oh, I mean, it just flat out will put you on your seat.
So emo. Everything's meaningless. Is there anything more
Why do we
rock?
Even get up in the morning?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's coming from a place of, hey, I've achieved it all. I've had all the riches in the world. I've experienced everything there is to experience.
That's right.
And here's what I've realized. It's all vanity. It's all meaningless. And I kind of like that full circle moment because it forces you to look to that 25-year future. To go, okay, let's play this out. I chase wealth. I get to 1 million. I chase wealth. I get to 5 million. I have the house. I have 5 properties now. I'm a real estate guru. I have everything I ever wanted. I have a great whatever the thing is, And you realize, okay, what actually matters in all of this? My gravestone is not going to say George Kamel, net worth $17 million. It won't. It's just going to have a date and another date. And that encourages me to realize I'm just another guy with another, gravestone in the graveyard. And I think that sort of a ephemeral reality, that philosophical take, just makes me content to go, I'm doing everything I want to do. I'm in no rush. The wealth is going to be built. The calculator can show me that pretty quickly. And so then you go, okay, what would I do if I had 10 million versus my million today? I don't know, I guess I'd take a nicer trip. I'd get a bigger house. But what else? And so then I go, what's the purpose of money? Well, money is just a tool to live the life that you want to live. And if you want to live a life of vanity and have a mega yacht and, party all day, that's fine. That's the life you've chosen. That's not for me.
Yeah.
And so what I've realized is as I get older, what I really want is peace amongst the chaos of the world. And I want to be present with my family. I want to work hard. I want to help a lot of people while I do that. And money becomes just a way to accomplish those things, to accomplish the generosity, to have some fun and travel and have some amazing experiences, and to build wealth for my children and my children's children.
Yeah.
And so that's, once you realize that, you go, oh, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
My million's fine. And again, I don't have $1 million. We're talking about net worth. It's just assets minus liabilities.
Right.
And because I don't have any debt, it simplifies the equation. But people think I'm braggadocious when I say, well, I'm a millionaire. The only reason I use that is to prove to you that if an average George can do it, you can too. Because again, come from an immigrant family.
Right.
I don't have a trust fund. I had to work for everything I've had over a long period of time. When you look at the details of my story, it's kind of unimpressive. You go, oh, that's what it looks like? Just hard work and a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And so I think that's where the contentment comes from. It's a mix of faith and sort of a philosophical reality as to what's at the end of this game.
Yeah. Well, folks, as I do at the end of every show, I want to share with you something that I've taken away from George. This has been so fun. This is my buddy, not just my colleague, and he's given us so much practical stuff. But I love what you said about money, George, and I wrote down, money is a tool. And the challenge for me in the days ahead, and I want you to consider this, you can come up with whatever takeaway you want, but I think we all need to look at this question. Is what I have enough? And I know there's some emotional charges around money, but the reality is we have the ability to be disciplined. We have the ability to change our life. And I know that's not a popular take these days, but I know that when I start getting out of sorts with anything around money, it's usually because I'm not being content. And the reality is I have enough. And I'm struck by Ramsey Solutions did the largest study of net worth millionaires that's ever been done, over 10,000. The third group of millionaires, number 3 on the list, were teachers. The median salary in America is about $68,000 for teachers. These are men and women that do it because it's missional, because they care, and they've adjusted their lifestyle to be able to do something that they care deeply about. They model what it means to have enough. So it was really great, George. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Ray.
Hey, if you've enjoyed the conversation, please let us know by liking and subscribing. And if you'd like to join us here in studio for a future live recording, check out the link in the show notes for up-to-date info on guests, dates, and opportunities. To my friends in the room, thank you for being here. And also, will you help me thank George Kamel? It was really good, dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It was an honor, man. Thanks for having me on the show.